this is how we leap into the CSGO discussion then, because as people probably know, like you said, briefly in 1.6 you got the chance to play in Fnatic, but that was where you weren't the in-game leaders, so like it was inevitable that was only going to last so long. Like obviously those were teams which always stacked the best players, and if you're in a team like that, you basically have to win everything, or they just make a player change. Like it's just the nature of the game back then. But your big chance in CSGO, obviously, even though you were competing for the first few years, like semi-pro, was when you became the coach of NiP the first time around, back when you could actually call. Now, if people don't know, that's why to me that year is actually epic, where you had all those like big tournament wins and the team became relevant again. It's because that was back when you could not only be the coach, but you essentially could like call the game as well, right? So how much of that were you doing? Like, were you actually calling a lot of the match? Was Exist still call? Like, how did it work back in that team?
Yeah, the first 6 months, they were sort of my puppets. I was a puppeteer of that team. I could say everything. They just listened to me. And I came in at a really good point because they were sort of desperate, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they lost Aldo, they kicked Aldo. I don't know really what happened there. They had a decent year with him, but at the end, it was really messy. They had brought in Pith. I just came home from Japan, and apparently they had scrimmed, I think, for 3 weeks with the Pith before I came there, and they sort of lost every scrim. So when I arrived, they were sort of like, please do something. Which was really nice as a coach, because I could just come up with all these crazy ideas, right? And they just did them immediately. And it was, I don't know, right now, 4 years later, I don't know if it might have been a bit overpowered, because you can sort of time everything so perfectly on some of the maps. I remember our T cache was insane, because you could sort of there were always trade potential, because I could see if they messed up the timing. I would say,
right,
get stop, wait 2 seconds, okay, now you go. And that's sort of like minor details that you don't see, but I think was one of the key reasons why we won so many matches and especially became the best team on the world on cache.
Because obviously, like, technically, that's what all the coaches have been able to do the whole time they've been at home now. And that's a factor no one really initially thought about. People just thought, is it online versus offline? Like, no one factored that in. Like, when you say that, do you actually think it was too good? Like, it was someone like you who's actually, like, could be a legit IGL as well. Is it too powerful to be able to, like, see all the screens and have all the information and that sort of stuff?
Well, it depends. I can kind of see Valve's take on it, that it becomes very different from the people at home's experience of the game, where this is one of the like difficult parts of the game, right? You have to communicate, and you will mess up all the time. I don't know if it's overpowered because everyone else could do it. I remember Starix was very successful doing the same thing.
Yes.
But I don't know if at that point, obviously, I wanted it to stay the same. But right now, I'm maybe more of it in the camp where, okay, it should actually be more pressure on the players. And that's sort of also why I want to sort of bring a new generation of Swedish CS players where they can sort of take the leadership role. It shouldn't be me.
Okay. What do you actually think about like Legear? Because obviously, like Valve had like a really harsh version where they just essentially banned it, except for like a couple of times in a match. Like, do you actually think if we'd have kept it going from where it was in 2016, would it be like super OP? Like, would all the best coaches basically just be like half calling the game? You think?
Yes, 100%. I personally think also it's way too strong, just because you can, as he says, like you can rotate everyone just like puppets, because you see all the grenades. You don't have to move around and look around who has what grenades. You can coordinate every execute. Everyone can just be focused on his crosshair whilst you are coordinating the execute. So obviously, I think it would be a big advantage if you could call as a T. But I personally had always my solution for that, which was kind of my dream. How a coach should be able to talk is, I think it's in the NFL also like that the coach can only talk to the quarterback. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the coach should be able to talk to the in-game leader only.
Yeah.
But everyone else is not allowed to listen to the...
okay, so it's kind of a compromise. Right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think they could work good together. He cannot really coordinate the executes. The in-game leader still has to do his job, but he can still have impact on the game as an outside person. I think that would be a cool thing at least to test, but yeah. I'm super cool with how it is right now, though. Like, I don't have anything against it. I think it's good that the coach cannot talk during the game. But even though, to be honest, that would, if you think about it, if you're actually a good coach and you fucking call good and your team is improving, the coaches would also get more credit in some sense, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, I would say Threat's an example of that, since his team's been online the whole year.
There would be a much bigger rivalry, kind of, or how can I say, kind of rivalry between the coaches as well. And everyone can also prove, okay, I'm the fucking number one, and not, obviously, I personally think Zonic is the number one, but he has fucking 5 amazing players. Obviously, it's another thing if you make those players work together, which he obviously did, but yeah. I'm sure there's coaches in teams that I value worse than, coaches.
Yeah, you can't know what they're doing. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think this year has been really awkward with that ruling because as we didn't know when Corona would end, we sort of early decided that, okay, in scrims, I won't help the players.
Yes.
In official matches, I will try to keep it the same way. Obviously, if they miss on information or they forget the bomb or whatever, right? I will tell them, but I will not sort of be the puppeteer in the middle. So I haven't done that this year at all. Sometimes you can sort of use it more as a timeout call in freeze time. But I've really tried, because when you practice, you want it to be the same way as when you practice in official matches, obviously, right?
Yes.
And that has made this year very awkward. Hopefully now with the vaccine and maybe there's some sort of hope, the horizon, we will still not use me as a puppeteer. We will still put the pressure on the players. I know maybe there are some IGLs or coaches that do that right now because they can during Corona, but I think that would just backfire when the event starts again.